Paulo Bernardo. I noticed that Benfica were reportedly saying the price had been set 6 million. Mick, do you think that's 6.5? Is that fair?
Well, that's what we're led to believe is the clause to get him.
Is he worth it, do you think?
See, I don't know. At this point in time, I've got to say I don't think so. But at the same time, I think there's a player in there. I mean, I think he had a good run of games around about the new year, and I thought, yeah, we're finally starting to see it. I couldn't for the life of me fathom why it took him so long to get fit. I mean, it took him till October, November to even remotely look so he's challenging for a place. I think there's a neat and tidy football player in there. And I think, I could see he's got room to get better. He's only still about 21, 22. There's room for improvement. It's a lot of money, but I don't know. I think it's maybe one to see what you can get first. I think you've got to expect Matt O'Reilly to be subject to big bids in the summer. So you have to assume that he might go for good money. I know Atletico Madrid they're not going away anywhere either. So you think that's a position. So then you need another one. If Bernardo doesn't get signed, you need another one in there. So I think it's one to keep the options open. I don't think you make the decision now. But I do think there's a player in there. So I'm kind of swaying. I kind of said previously, no, I don't think he's worth it at this point in time. But I think it might be one that he might even get. There is room for development there to get better. So it might be one. It might be worthwhile taking him.
I really like him, but 6 million for us, that's a lot.
That's the figure that always seems to get put on these loanees, isn't it? It was kind of Jota's figure and it was Carter Vickers' figure, although that could end up as high as 10 if he keeps hitting his add-on levels. Bernardo, no chance, not for me.
No.
He doesn't score enough goals. He doesn't score enough goals or create enough goals for me, that's the problem.
You've got to have an impact every week. Maybe have 4 or 5 off games a season, but every week you got to produce an impact like Jota did, like Carter Vickers does when he plays, and that's what a £6 million player gets you. And if Matt O'Reilly goes, it's not going to be a replacement for Matt O'Reilly. It's not that level. And even if he improves a bit, I just don't think he's got the impact of any of those players we've mentioned there. So unless they can negotiate that down a wee bit, it could be an important squad player, but I wouldn't be splashing £6 million on him.
See, going back to the Scotland game the other night, one player that I wish Celtic had signed a couple of years ago, Ali McCann, playing for Northern Ireland. For next to nothing, I thought he was brilliant in Scotland and worked his backside off the other night.
You know what? I had to cover St Johnstone's wee mini Euro run a couple of years ago, and they played Galatasaray and Lask, and he didn't look out of place in those games. In fact, he was by far St Johnstone's best player alongside Xander Clark, but outfield, box to box, he was immense and just seemed to raise his game for those big games. So it's not a bad shout. He wasn't shy putting his boot in the other night either, was he?
I'm just raising it in the sense that there must be better value for money probably than 6 million Bernardo. I like Bernardo.
He's now a regular at Preston, isn't he? So he'd probably cost a pretty penny.
Yeah, he's played a lot of games for. I think he's played nearly 100 games for Preston. Mm-hmm. Done really well. Cracking little player. Yeah, definitely one that slipped through the net. Celtic were looking at him. I think would have been Preston 2021. I think Celtic were looking at him at that point in time, and didn't go for him. I think he's 24, 25 now. Definitely a good player. I mean, I think he slipped through the net, not just with Celtic. I mean, I think he was born in Scotland, wasn't he?
Right.
Yeah. I get the Scotland midfield though is a hard part to get into, isn't it? And they've got Lewis Ferguson, who's going to be a £30 million signing in summer, and he can't get into that team. So I can understand that one. But yeah, I still think Celtic. I mean, I think they're looking. They need to look for something. I'm not saying Champions League class, because buying Champions League class is next to impossible. But someone who can get to Champions League class, like a Matt O'Reilly. Matt O'Reilly was bought from the Championship, but is now Champions League class. Mm-hmm. So is Ali McCann is currently in the Championship. Can he get to Champions League class? Don't know. But I think that's the kind of market Celtic need to be in.